Hello, world, and welcome to Creating Light with Kelsey. Guys, my loves, babes, whatever I decide to call you, my bitches. Guess what? My sales page launched today. My sales page for Ascend the Underworld Within, the 8-month healing container that I've been talking about on this podcast since forever, and this thing that I've been creating and all of that, like literally has been in the works since 2019. And I've ran it and it's evolved, and this is the highest iteration of it. Like, this is the moment my fucking soul has been waiting for. And then I know there's souls out there that's been waiting for this as well, waiting for this to be ready, waiting for this to be open so they can enter and transform and learn so much about their entire being and psyche and somatic experiencing, getting free, unlocking all of the bullshit. It's 8 months of just diving into the self to heal. So you already know where you can find that in the show notes. Look at the sales page. It is beautiful. Tony Zamora was the lead designer on it, and she blew my mind on putting it all together. And it took a lot out of me because all of the words are mine. And that is where I knew I had to really zone in and condense 5 years worth of work and what the miracles that exist within this container to one sales page, one web page. That took a lot of effort to condense that much information into one thing. So I knew a designer had to finagle all the things, and I picked all the images and the colors as well, but it was like I needed someone else to do that to help me capture the energetic imprint of this healing container of Ascend the Underworld Within, because it's finally here. And enrollment is only open for a month. So I'm recording this now on December 19th. Yes, it is Tuesday and it's releasing tomorrow. I don't want to talk about it. We will do better next week. But it is December 19th and enrollment closes January 19th because the container starts on January 20th. And then you are under my wing for 8 months of goodness, my friends. Okay, so where the fuck are we at? We're still talking about the healing story instead of the trauma story. I'm gonna say it again. That has been the shift that I've needed and how I show up and how I speak. It's if you look if you just even listen to the podcast, you'll hear and notice a difference in the way I present information and the energy that's behind it. And then the post that on my feed on Instagram, everything shifted on that one post where I said, I no longer want to tell my trauma story. I want to tell a healing story. From there, everything that's come after that, who is that girl? I don't know. That's actually, I do know. That is the divine embodiment of this iteration of Kelsey Morgan. That's who that is. It's like that needed to happen because that was still well, I mean, I'll always be a student in some ways, but as far as pertaining to my own work, that was communicating when I was still stuck in certain trauma stories and delivering it in that way that was showing, I hadn't like fully clicked and integrated yet to be the facilitator that I needed to be. And that just that shift, that was like that last piece of like, okay, she's here. She's fully embodied of this version of a facilitator and healer and teacher. She's here. She's here. She's at a new caliber. She's ready to guide healers, leaders, people that have been on the path, way showers, generational curse breakers. Like, I'm ready for you, man. And I've got you. And now I have the fucking container to hold it all, and we can make shit happen. Another lovely rant. But where we left off last episode, I was telling you guys about my first ever spiritual awakening. And I mentioned that there was this whole concept of bearing gifts to the feast, and that was a whole other layer to that awakening because that was when I had owned my trauma for the first time. Because there's a moment of when I faced it and I realized what was there, but then there's a different layer of when you own it because you cannot truly let go of your trauma, your shadows, your darkness, transmute any of that unless you own it, unless you accept that it is a part of you and that it is something that you have experienced. Because if you're rejecting it, you're not, you're not anywhere near it. You're not anywhere near it to let it go or to show it a different way. And even though I so desperately did not want to have experienced any of those experiences, like I mean, no one wants to have trauma. And that was the point of when this project talked about gifts and how suffering, it talked about the concept of how suffering is a gift. And immediately I was like, what the fuck do you mean? That's the shittiest gift I have ever heard in my goddamn life. If that is a gift, no, thank you. Do we have a receipt? Can we return it? But the reason why it's called a gift is because why suffering is called a gift is because gifts are given to you often out of your control. And then you have the power and the control to accept the gift, to accept what's been handed to you, to accept what you've been dealt, or to reject it. It doesn't mean that it still doesn't exist or that it's not there because the exchange has already happened. Same thing with gift giving. Like someone gives you a gift, like it's up to you on what to do it from there. The exchange already happened. Suffering, the thing, the event, the trauma, it already happened. And now it's on you. What are you going to do with it? That's why it's a gift. It's out of your control. It's something that's been handed to you. And now it's literally in your hands to which will determine the how you show up and exist in the rest of your life. Because if you think of that, if your hand is out and you've been given something and then you're holding on to it, the longer you hold on to it, the longer you reject it, the heavier it's going to get. And then more things will get put on top of it. Then it will get hidden. It'll get more difficult to detangle it to be able to let it go. And immediately when I owned it, when I owned my suffering that my soul chose to experience, I immediately felt liberated. I knew I just majorly shifted something, and felt, I had the somatic experiencing of feeling liberated after I owned my suffering. And stuff started to click from there. It was a realization of, oh, the thing that I've been running away from is actually where my freedom lies. The thing that I've been running away from holds the most valuable parts of me that integrate, that create my wholeness. And the art piece that I made, because I had to give, so also with this whole project of owning our suffering, bearing gifts to the feast. I may do a different episode talking about this sometime at a later date because it's a really cool concept. And we will be diving into it on the 8 month healing container. But um, I talked for about 20 minutes and I had to present my suffering and I wrote a poem and I made a bunch of art and talked about what I was at and what I was finally accepting. And I actually I actually have the main art piece up here. It's one of my favorite pieces and it's the understanding that the darkness is what has pieced me together, and me then letting go of those parts of self gives it the opportunity to transmute into something that it was always meant to be, and it becomes the compost of my existing, and then it's all connected. So this art piece that I have this figure and their arms are intertwined up into a sky, and then it's raining, and then their legs are intertwined into the ground and rooted, and plants are coming up, and it's like the rain nurtures, provides essential nutrients to the ground, but then my body is also part of the ground and the compost. And then the fuel also comes back up into the clouds and can be a part of the sadness, which relates to the water. But if it wasn't for that, new growth would never have happened. And if I never would have gathered all the parts of myself and accepted all parts of myself, the figure never would have been created to make the connection between above and below. There would have been this gap, and the body is the bridge. And so that's it all just came together. And so I look at it's another wave of emotion. It's a staple of my journey that by having the courage to face and feel myself, I was becoming connected to all that is and connected to my true essence. And I was actually allowing the light to enter. And I get it. Like, no one wants to survive horrific things. No one wants that to actually be a part of our reality. That's the fucked up design that we live in here on Earth and in 3D when it shifted to that point of this game. But the hard truth is the more you reject that, the more you reject love, the more you reject the thing that you're trying to chase, because love is on the other side of that. Like the real embodiment of self-love and love and radiating love. And so we don't, so the whole thing of hurt people can be eradicated is in holding your darkness. And I think the thing for me with this whole process and in my own discoveries and why I've created this container is like I want to guide people and show people it's not as scary. It's going to be challenging and feel intimidating and feel intense, but it's one, you're not alone in it because there's going to be a group of people and I will be there for support. But two, it's the mind that thinks that we're not capable of actually handling and holding it because there's a process to it. And we are capable and we're able to look at these parts of ourselves because our psyche is very smart. It will not deliver information to us if we are not ready for it. Like we just simply won't remember. We will not be able to tap into it. There is no forcing in that sense. So if you already know what you need to face, you're capable of facing it. And then I'm here to show you, and I'm here as the guide and teacher to let you know that it is going to be okay and it's not as scary as you may have once thought. There may be unexpected feelings of despair, grief, anger, all of that intensity. But as far as it being this monster and the thing that we must always avoid, I that's what I'm here to like shift and show you that like these are not monsters or scary things. They're us and they just want our love. And with the forcing thing, our psyche organically will not force upon anything. So if you are getting presented with things that you are, like I just said, that you're needing to face, your psyche's smart and strong and letting you know, like, hey, you've got this, or I wouldn't be giving you this information. But it can be forced if you're going into EMDR therapy and plant medicine journeys before you are ready and prepped the psyche, especially plant medicine journeys. That is, you don't you don't have control of what's presented to you. And if you haven't, I've mentioned this before, but I'm gonna keep fucking advocating for this. If you have not faced your darkness on your own beforehand and you do not have your own skills and tools to manage your regulate your nervous system and your emotions, if you don't have that as a baseline and then you go to do ayahuasca or intense mushroom journeys, you are bringing down the filter of protection of what you do not know and what you have been unwilling to face. So your psyche hasn't presented stuff to you for a reason, since you haven't been showing up as if you can handle such things in your daily life. And then you go and do that, you're ripping open yourself without a foundation. And it can be dangerous, and people, I'll just say people can get real fucked up. But anyway, the part two, I didn't really know how this episode was going to go because today's been an emotional day of this launching. And then I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. This is supposed to release tomorrow. I got to show up and do the thing and be consistent. I was going to plan on talking about when I even got the download of this container, which happened after the Bearing Gifts of the Feast project. So if I want to stay in chronological order, I guess this is technically the way. But the thing that I really want to drive home with this episode is that I did not experience sensations of liberation and internal freedom until I owned my suffering. That's when it clicked for me. That's when I felt free. And I also have this drawing of me launching out of this like cage and box and being chained down, and it was just like all gone and I was just flying. And then I have another image where I drew and I was throwing up, and but it was like all these like colorful things coming out of my mouth. It like wasn't gross, but I was being emptied. I'd emptied myself of what no longer served me and the stuff that I didn't need to hold on to anymore, and the stories really. And just like it was all gone, which made me light, and then I let go, and then I broke free and all of that. And that is what happened after I gave, and I made those drawings directly after I gave my presentation, after I presented my suffering. And I know people's experience is always different. Maybe that's not your reality, but that's my reality, and that's what I want to offer you all. And that's what's happened for me every time I face myself and every time I experience sensations of liberation. And that's the path, and that's the point, and that is the entire fucking point of Ascend the Underworld Within, is facing and transmuting your darkness to embody internal freedom. And then it gives you the opportunity for your soul to be in alignment, because there's no other way. Like darkness will always block the path towards your soul's alignment. So it's all very connected. And if you want to do this deep soul work and have all of this great discovery, cool. That means you're going to get real comfy with your darkness and your shadows, which is amazing because they deserve it. They deserve all the love that you give to the pleasant parts of life. The unpleasantries deserve the equal amount of love. And that's how we don't spiritually bypass. That is how we are embodied. That is how we are whole. That is how we navigate through the world through our heart space and love, instead of perpetuating harm and trauma and projecting unconsciously. Like we are here to elevate the collective unconscious, and we cannot do that unless we are facing everything. I'm like a broken record right now, but it's one of those things that you gotta like, you just keep saying it and it will land for people at different points. And when it does, I am here. I am here. I am here to guide you in whatever way you feel called. But that's it for today. Like, holy shit. I have cried a lot lately, knowing that the sales page was dropping. And I can still feel it sinking in of like, oh, this is real. This is real. The container's open. Like, you made it. Like, you made it for the people to land. And like, you've done it. You've done the heavy lifting, and now my hands are up and trusting in the universe. The container's there. They're going to bring the people, and the souls that I'm meant to guide for 2024 are going to step inside. So exciting. And if that is not calling to you this year, no worries. One, it's going to be open every year. But two, there is the Leap of Faith bundle, which I don't think I've thoroughly talked about it on the podcast yet. So, noted. I'll do that next time. But that is only $33, and all of that is pre-recorded. There's 3 saw method sessions and 1 talk. So the talk talks about energetics behind a leap of faith and what is one and what is not, because we can get confused on the feelings of that. So I break that down. And then the saw method practices work with it energetically in your body to help you lean into surrender, help you lean into the unknown, help you let go, help you trust yourself and reconnect to your body and your intuition to make decisions and to obviously take leaps of faith. This will be listed in the show notes. It's $33 now for like 1 more month until the healing container starts, and then I'm going to be upping the price because I'm going to add more healing content in there. But if you've already bought the Leap of Faith bundle, you get free access to everything that I add in there. So get it now. And last but not least, my free Somatic Activated Healing classes. Let's get clear on that. The donation was always just an option. Like, it's just there, it's a link, it's another wave of payment for me to be open to receive that is out of my control, but it's never been the intention for class. Like, this is just me showing up to be of service. And if you feel pulled to donate, lovely. If all you do is show up to receive healing, lovely. Do not feel obligated. If you're trying to donate out of obligation or guilt, I don't want your fucking money. I want you to actually sit with that and transmute that, because that's a icky feeling, you know? And because I know, because I've fucking been there. Like doing stuff out of guilt and obligation. No, thank you. Let's change that story and change that reality. So please do not feel obligated to donate. But the access to the free classes, to get them, and you have to be on my email list, and that's all you got to do. And then you get the link. All the good stuff. All the good stuff. All that's in the show notes, though, my friends. But thank you for listening. And remember, when we see the light in ourselves, we create light in others.